So from then, I knew, I'm not alone. But the most important thing is self-acceptance. If you accept who you are, me, I always say, if someone calls me a cow, that is what they see.
I'm not a cow. I love it.
So the Sauti Yetu is shedding light to challenges faced by women with intellectual disabilities because they face unique forms of discrimination.
Yeah.
You are sexual, you don't have feelings, you don't have the right to love. It's like, I always say that it is not our private parts that are disabled.
Thank you.
No, we are very much okay.
They're very much okay.
Yeah, so...
Hello and welcome to the Sauti Yetu podcast, a platform by COVAW, the Coalition on Violence Against Women, where we simply amplify the voices of women and girls, especially those living with disabilities, to speak against violence and claim their rights while offering access to justice for survivors of gender-based violence. My name is Kalecha Mumu, and I'm excited to be the host of this podcast because there is so much that I am looking forward to learn, and I'm sure you're going to learn too, as we promise you to bring you conversations that are so valuable to the community, to yourself, to understanding your environment and the people around it, and especially if you yourself have people living with disability around you and how we can all together help them to put an end to gender-based violence and all other aspects that affect the justice for our amazing people living with disabilities. Now, you may be wondering, what exactly is Sauti Yetu? Because again, this is our first podcast. So let me just break it down a little bit for you. Sauti Yetu, our voice in Kiswahili, is a campaign that aims to highlight the lived experiences of women with disabilities, to challenge stigma, and of course, to show how communities can be part of ending violence and discrimination. Now, to do this, we will be interviewing community champions who have turned their pain and experience into amazing, powerful advocacy. And to begin this season, and in this particular episode, we're beginning with a woman who has lived with cerebral palsy, faced obstetric violence, that is OBV, and now leads advocacy for women's rights to inclusion and dignity in healthcare and justice. And on top of that, she is a mom of an amazing boy. Yes, indeed. Welcome, disability rights defender Josephine Mwende. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much.
And you look amazing.
Thank you.
It's so good to have you join us on Sauti Yetu.
Thank you.
Now, also joining us on this amazing conversation is a passionate advocate with over 10 years experience working to prevent and respond to gender-based violence, promote access to justice, and empower marginalized communities. She has a background in social work and human rights and living with disability. She is a guest who definitely brings a big, big contribution with wealth of experience to today's conversation. Beyond her advocacy work, she is a proud mom of 3 boys and loves spending quality time with them whenever she can. Welcome to the conversation. She is the acting executive director at COVAW, Fridah Wawira. How are you?
I'm good.
Nice to see you here.
Nice to see you too.
And excited to hear the different things that we are working on as COVAW. And I say we because I have joined the party.
Thank you.
And I'm here to stand up together with you as we do so. Now, allow me to begin with you, Josephine. I can only imagine what life was like growing up with cerebral palsy. When I think of my first experience meeting somebody, I was in standard 5 and a new girl joined our class. She was older than we were. And it didn't seem like anybody was going to explain to us what was going on with her. And I say that with all due respect because as children, when you've never seen this, you don't understand. She was on a wheelchair. She had a nurse with her 24/7. And suddenly we were afraid. And so we sidelined her. We didn't play with her. And I can imagine what she must have felt. I later got to have a conversation with her and she said, "Don't sideline me." So what was it like growing up with cerebral palsy for you and some of the things you faced?
Oh, thank you for your question. Funny thing, when I was growing up, I didn't really know if I had cerebral palsy. I just came to know of it when it was time for me to join school. That is when I went for, in course, a normal school.
Yeah.
So when I went there, back in the village, when during break time, kids like going out and maybe playing in the sand, trying to draw on the sand and doing things. So it was during PE and the teacher could tell us, can you do something on the ground? Yeah. I was seeing others doing it, but when I started to do it like them, I couldn't do. So then that is when I came to know that I was different from the rest. And now from there, I now came now to know I can't now, not that I can't live like them, but I came to realize that there were things that I could not do like they were doing.
There were things you couldn't do. Yeah. And of course, that means at home, nobody made you feel different.
Exactly.
Your parents did a wonderful job.
Sure,
they did a good job to make you feel you are just one of their beloved children.
Sure.
And so just because obviously I'm curious now, you understand that this is different for you and you're not going to be able to do certain things. Yeah. How then did you work around where you are at? Because you're in a normal school.
Yeah.
Did you go home, ask your parents, how can I do things differently? Were there kids teasing you? I mean, kids can be really difficult. And I say that because I was a kid once and I know you can be really mean. How did you then after understanding, get to know what can I do, what can't I do, and how will I become as great as you've become, as we're about to learn?
So for me, what I did, we were kids, we could maybe understand a lot of things. So a friend of my mom, so she's the one who told my mom, your child is not fit to this school. That we have special schools for such children. And that is when now my mom took the initiative to take me to a special school. That is Joyton Special School in Dika. So that is where I went, and I found some other people who were severe than I was.
Oh, wow.
So when I saw them, then my mom told me, well, after we saw the rest of the children in the school. So from then, I knew, I'm not alone. Yeah. So there were people like me out here. From there, I just came to love myself because there was not a point whereby maybe at home I felt isolated. Yeah. I didn't feel anything like that at home because if it is now, there are some things that the parents, we have some tasks that parents give you at
in the
home.
House, yes.
And I was not left out.
Oh, good.
If it was going to fetch water,
you were there.
Yeah, I was there.
I love this.
If it is going now to look after cows,
you were there.
Yeah, so I didn't feel any isolation. Yeah. Or maybe I didn't feel like someone hated me. Yeah. No. So after now joining the school, I now saw others. And I was like, so this is a normal thing. And I came to really love who I was and embrace who I was.
Love this. Yeah. I love this. And I think that's really what the strength of the conversation is. As a caregiver, as a parent, is how you make your child feel is exactly how they are going to be in the world. And so the confidence that your parents gave you is really commendable. Sure. And so you also now have gone on to become an advocate for against discrimination and OBV. From your experience, what are some of the challenges you've seen? Have you faced any yourself? And from the different people that you have experienced living with disability, what are some of the big challenges that you have experienced or seen?
So the big challenges, as I like saying that we as persons with disabilities, we don't have any issue with our impairment. We are very much okay with how we are. Now the problem is the society, the barriers they create towards us.
Oh, wow.
If we can just remove the barriers, then we could not be talking about disability.
We would not even be here.
No. So we don't have the issue with ourselves. If we work on the community, then that will be good to go. So you see, some of the challenges are the stereotypes that surround disability, the myths and misconceptions. That's not like my condition, that is cerebral palsy. This occurs during birth or just immediately after birth due to prolonged labor and other delayed milestones, which if they can be prevented, then we can also prevent cerebral palsy.
Correct.
So you see, like, now there's people who associate this condition with witchcraft as well. So you see, others associate it with disease. I am sick. I can't be cured.
Yeah.
Yet, cerebral palsy is not a disease.
It's not a
It
disease.
is not contagious.
Yes.
And it does not cure. The only thing that can help us manage it is the therapy part of it.
Correct.
So some of the challenges are just the stereotypes. That if you have a disability, you are seen as a lesser being. You are not complete.
You're not complete.
You are incompetent. You can't do anything by your own. So those are some of the challenges that you grow up with. But the most important thing is self-acceptance. If you accept who you are, me, I always say, if someone calls me a cow, that is what they see.
I'm not a cow. I love it.
Yeah.
You know that you're not.
Yes.
So that's you and your eyes.
Yes, exactly. What you see or what you say about yourself matters a lot.
Yeah. And I think that the most important thing there is how society makes this condition and other conditions is what becomes bigger than what the people who are facing the condition are actually going through.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, Fridah, you've been part of COVAW now, this journey, you've been on it for several years, and you are now leading as the acting executive director. How do you get to do your work with intellectual disabilities, the women who are going through this? How did it begin and what continues to drive your commitment? Because having listened to just a bit of Josephine's story, I'm already so inspired, but I imagine what it's like for you.
Yes, let me start by saying that I'm a woman with disability. I'm not sure if you noticed.
I actually did not.
Okay.
I actually did not. I'll be honest with you.
Okay, so I'm a woman with disability, a physical disability. One of my heart is broken.
Okay.
And it was broken during the birth process.
Oh, right.
And this fuels my passion for championing for the rights of women and girls with disabilities. So let me start by saying that Coalition on Violence Against Women, that's COVAW, is a national women's rights organization that has been in existence for close to 30 years, since 1995. And we exist to champion the rights of women and girls to be free from all forms of violence. So our work has focused on empowering women and girls to claim their rights and to seek support when their rights are abused. Specifically targeting women and girls with disability. This was informed by many factors. A COVAW 2013 study showed that 60% of women and girls with intellectual disabilities had gone through sexual violence.
Wow.
And this means when I take 10 women and girls, 6 of them have been sexually abused. And what we learned is that most of them, even they don't understand that they have been sexually abused.
Right.
Second, they don't want to speak out because when they speak out, we hardly believe them.
Yeah, because of the challenge they already face.
Yes. And then they are also seen as an easy target. So what Josephine has said is very true. There are existing perceptions, attitudes, and norms that continue to fuel sexual and gender-based violence.
Yeah.
And then when we look at our laws and policies, we lack progressive laws and policies touching on women and girls with intellectual disability. COVAW has been in court since 2020 to 2023, challenging the constitutionality of Section 146 of the Penal Code that used to refer to women and girls with intellectual disabilities as idiots and
It's
imbeciles.
actually written like that?
It was written like that. But now, as a result of advocacy work, that has been
changed. Oh, thank God.
And then we also saw that there were a lot of institutional failures when it comes to handling cases of sexual and gender-based violence affecting women and girls with intellectual disabilities. First, if I can take an example of a woman a deaf woman, when she's sexually abused and she goes to report to the police station, we don't have sign language interpreters.
So nobody's going to help her.
So how is she going to record a statement if no one is able to interpret whatever she's saying? When they are sexually abused, they're supposed to go to the hospital. But when they go to the hospital, the same barriers exist. There's no also a sign language interpreters in most of the hospitals. So how are they going to receive health services if there are no people who are there to guide them, to support them? So the three is what failed us starting this project and how we have been responding. First, COVAW operates a pro bono scheme of advocates. Now we have about 68 advocates spread out in different parts of the country, and we operate a GBV helpline. So when a survivor calls through our GBV helpline, then we are able to gauge the type of support they need.
And act.
Okay. And then now we are able now to either refer and link them or provide legal aid services through now our pro bono scheme of lawyers, or also provide psychosocial support.
And I like that very much.
Yes, psychosocial support, because even for them to testify in court,
they need that help.
They need the support. They need to have gone. They need hearing should have started. So we provide psychosocial support to survivors of sexual and gender-based violence, including those with intellectual disabilities.
And I really would love to have that number also on the screen, because there may be people who don't even know that there is a helpline and that they can use that helpline to get this assistance. And it's pro bono. So that means you're not going to have to pay for that lawyer, pay for that psychosocial assistance. It's really there to make sure that you do not suffer. So if you know somebody who is struggling or has intellectual disability and they need to just be aware, because I think the prevention is better than the cure, let's just save that number, write it down, so that you can ensure that you are able to save somebody in event something happens. Now, coming back to you, Josephine, you've been doing a lot of work as a disability rights defender. Maybe you can start by telling us how you've been using your own platform to raise awareness, push for accountability, because someone might be sitting there and saying, okay, is it because Josephine has gone through this before, or is it that she's just standing up for others because she knows that you become an easy target when you are a person with an intellectual disability? So what are you doing and how did you come about to doing it?
So thank you. So for me, I just started out and realized, most of the time, women and girls with disabilities don't come out to speak for themselves or maybe share their experiences. Yet it's something that really happens day out day in. So when it comes to gender-based violence, as Fridah has really said very well, most of those with intellectual disabilities, sometimes you see they have high dependency needs.
Yes.
So you find that most of the time the caregivers cannot violate their rights.
Yes.
And then you see this child, this girl will depend on the caregiver to report. Will they really get justice?
No.
So it takes some time, and they really don't have that platform to come out to share their experiences, because they will also need someone to assist them come out and share their experiences. So for me, I just said, I won't just keep quiet, because at least I have the ability to share my experience out there. And instead of just browsing on social media and having fun, why can't I use social media to help others, also help myself? Because disability is here to stay.
Yeah.
girls and women with disabilities are not going anywhere.
Exactly.
So I just decided to come up to be creating awareness through my social media handles. And also I really came up with an online campaign calling upon the government also to have accessible maternal access for women with disabilities. So through my social media, I've been able to do some online campaigns and also create awareness more so on the intellectual disabilities, cerebral palsy, because you see these are some of the disabilities or some of the impairments that are always underrepresented. No one talks about it yet. It's the most common disabilities that we have out there.
Yes.
So I just decided to shed some light and let the population know that we have this kind of people and how they can be accommodated in the society and be included in everything that involves them.
Yeah, and I like that you've mentioned especially maternal care, because you're a mom of a boy.
Yes.
And, a lot of people might be saying, okay, so how did she get this boy? And this is ignorance.
Sure.
Yeah. And so just because I would love for us to understand this better, people think that when somebody struggles with intellectual disability, like you said, that they are not normal, they're either mad, they're bewitched, but you have normal feelings. You love, you feel, and so you had a boy.
Yeah.
Tell us about that little boy.
Yeah. So as I've said, it is very true. We have so many stereotypes around disability. When you have cerebral palsy, you will give birth to a child who looks like you. As a person with intellectual disability or maybe cerebral palsy, you are sexual, you don't have feelings, you don't have the right to love. It's like, I always say that it is not our private parts that are disabled.
Thank
No,
you.
we are very much okay.
They're very much okay.
Yeah, so you don't have to focus on the physical appearance of a person. We are human beings.
Yeah.
The only difference is the only physical. Maybe I walk different from you.
Yes.
I talk different from you.
Yes.
But other parts are functionable.
They are functionable. And your brain is working very okay.
Very much okay. So, we do give birth. I am a mother of one.
Yeah.
And I'm so proud about that.
Yeah.
So, women with disabilities do have feelings.
I love
They
it.
do love.
How old is the boy? How old is the boy? I really want to know.
We are now 8 years.
Wow! Congratulations!
Thank you.
That's amazing. An 8-year-old. When you brought him up that far fast, you're just like, yeah. So congratulations. That's really awesome.
Thank you.
And I hope that the people who are watching and listening can hear that it is possible to have a normal life. You just need to give it a chance. And this is the reason why we are here, giving this conversation a voice with Sauti Yetu. Now, coming back to you, Fridah, this Sauti Yetu campaign has been a powerful platform for amplifying the voices of women and girls with disabilities. So what actually inspired the initiative? Because like you say, COVAW has been there for 30 years. So what inspired it? Why now? And what is it that you really want people to know about getting that gender equality and access to justice?
This work started back in 2019. We were implementing a project that was funded by African Women Development Fund, AWDF, that was on enhancing access to justice for survivors of sexual and gender-based violence with intellectual disabilities. And through that project, we were working to dismantle the existing perceptions, the norms, the attitudes that people have towards persons with disabilities, and specifically women and girls. And out of that, there was increased cases of sexual gender-based violence that were reported to us on our toll-free line.
Okay.
And this was against the shrinking donor landscape. So in a day, we receive about 5 to 10 cases of sexual and gender-based violence through our toll-free line. And out of that, 3 of them we require at least at least 3 will require immediate support, including rescue, psychosocial support, and all that. So when the project ended in 2021, the barriers continued to persist. And hence the reason we came up with Sauti Yetu as a platform to empower women and girls with intellectual disabilities to speak out, to challenge the norms and perceptions that continue to persist in our community. And this is closely linked to our mission of championing the rights of women and girls to be free from all forms of violence. But now COVAW utilizes an intersectional approach in our programming. We recognize that women are not a homogeneous group, and so are women with disabilities.
Correct.
So we can't treat women with disabilities as a homogeneous group. There are various identity factors that interact to create unique forms of discrimination. For instance, I'm a woman. I'm a woman with disability. I'm a woman of a certain age.
Right.
I'm a woman with a certain education level. I'm a woman with a certain level of income. All those factors interact to create unique forms of discrimination. So the Sauti Yetu is shedding light to challenges faced by women with intellectual disabilities because they face unique forms of discrimination. And what we are doing beyond now giving them a platform is that once they speak out, we work with them through the justice system, including giving them transport to go to court.
Oh, nice.
So that they don't fall out in the process.
Yes.
So back in 2021, we did a study on legal and administrative bottlenecks to effective and efficient delivery of justice for survivors of sexual and gender-based violence. And what we learned is that cases that were reported in 2017, and at the time that we were doing the study in 2021, around October, only less than 50% of them had been concluded.
Wow, that is too much.
Only less than 50% of that, 4 years, 5 years down the line, only about less than 50% had been concluded.
The rest
and
pending.
Even where the cases had been closed or the files had been closed, they were mostly 50% of that. They were mostly withdrawn.
Wow.
And the reasons why they get withdrawn, first, it's straining economically. You can imagine I have to attend a court case 4 or 5 years down the line. It's economically straining.
Yeah, correct.
And then it's psychological torture. Having to go share my story over and over again, it's psychological torture. And also what we are seeing is that they end up withdrawing them. And when they go back to the community, when they have not accessed justice, this fuels more cases of sexual and gender-based violence. Because you say, nani na nani alifanya hivi, and nothing was done.
So people take advantage as nothing will happen.
Nothing will happen.
That's horrible.
And also, they lack faith in the justice system because I reported, nothing happened. The perpetrator is still in the community. So those factors is what we are hoping that we can achieve through this platform by giving the women and girls with this intellectual disability themselves to speak out and seek support when they are violated.
Yeah, and I think even just looking at those numbers, for me, it just simply means that people don't understand. Everybody bulks disability into one basket.
Exactly.
And that's the biggest challenge, isn't it?
Yes.
Because people have disabilities in different formats. Like you've told me yours, which I didn't notice because that when I met you, that's not what I'm looking for. And then I've met Josephine. It's different. There'll be the next person who's different. And so putting everybody in one basket actually, I think, is one of the biggest challenges. So if you didn't know, intellectual disability is not just a physical issue. This is somebody who might not be able to communicate as effectively as you and I do. They may not hear you. There is more that meets the eye. And especially when you mentioned about not being able to report for themselves. So those are things that people need to know, the reason why this is a special, different category. And I like that you're championing it. And I like that this has come up now and that I am involved now. And Josephine, for your work, you have worked with COVAW now and the initiatives like Sauti Yetu. How does this collaboration strengthen your advocacy that you've told me that you're doing, and what more can be done to make such partnerships even more impactful?
Thank you so much. Working with COVAW has really been great because what we lack most is the platform. And that is what COVAW has given us. We have now the platform whereby we can raise our voices and let people know that we are there, and also let people know our challenges, what we need, and how we need it to done. Not anyone else speaking on our behalf, yet we are there. So this is a great platform that COVAW has given us. We can share our stories. We can now challenge the norms in the society and direct people to how well to associate with us, because we are just like any other people. All we want is just some few adjustments, the reasonable accommodation. Then we lead and thrive like any other person in the community. So this is the way to go. Having these collaborations really will have a great impact in our society and in the whole world.
Yeah. Amazing. And, Fridah, while you're working with a lot of these women like Josephine and others, you've had your encounter with a lot of the women who are going through intellectual disability, and you've also associated with community advocates. Are there some realities that you now know, since you even began this campaign, that have also impacted the way you think and how COVAW is going to shift the community perceptions? Because I think that's where we are stuck. Our perceptions, our mindsets as a community, we are so backward, yet information is all over the place right now about, if I see something that I don't understand, I just get onto ChatGPT. I should be able to get my answers. But the average person won't even bother. They'll tap into their traditional mindset immediately, that yet we're saying we're advanced. So what are some of the ways that COVAW is helping to shift the perception, strengthen the pathways for justice for these survivors? How are you looking at doing that?
Thank you. Thank you very much for that question. So the first community visit that I did in 2019 in Narok County, I visited a girl with intellectual disability. It shocked on me. I found her, she had been locked in a tiny dark room, whereby she used to be given food from the small window. And she was not allowed to interact with the rest of the family members and also the rest of the community members.
She was hidden.
She was hidden in a separate dark room. And what was surprising, because I met the father on the way out, is that the father is very well able. He had jerry cans of milk. He had a driving business in terms of selling milk. But they were not ready to take care of this girl with intellectual
Money was
disability.
Not the issue here.
Money was not the issue. The issue was the stigma. She never used to go to school. when she was on her period, the community activist told me that she swears, herself. You'll find her clothes soiled because
nobody's giving her even
the sanitary tiles, and the existing programs, they target girls at school when they are distributing the sanitary tiles. No one thinks of the girl who is not going to school.
Yeah.
So how we responded with that is the first thing that we did was to identify community activists. So community activists or community paralegals, they are drawn from the community that we work in. And then we train them as SGBV champions at community level. So they are the ones who will support us with mobilization. They are the ones that will support us with co-facilitating these community dialogues.
And even identifying where the people are.
And even identifying these women and girls with disabilities.
Yeah.
I can tell you the first few dialogues that we did with these community activists and community members, there was no single woman with disability who turned up. They used to be locked, but with time,
it's better.
It became better.
Oh, good.
And they started coming out. So one of the strategies how we are shifting these narratives is through empowering community paralegals to lead change within their communities. Then we can have a change in attitudes and perceptions such that the woman will know she has a right. And when these rights are abused, then she'll speak out and the justice system will be ready to receive her.
So these paralegals, you're training them on exactly the steps to take. You're actually doing it as COVAW?
Yes, we are actually doing it as COVAW. So we start with training them who is a paralegal, what are the roles and responsibilities of a paralegal, and then what is the legal framework looking like, and then what is the referral pathway when on sexual and gender-based violence, such that when a survivor goes through violence, then she's able to accompany her
and do the step by step
until now the survivor gets to access justice.
Wow. I mean, it's amazing the work that you're doing and the fact that we need to know that this is happening and that people have all over the place have access. And if you want to be a paralegal, you just need to get in touch with COVAW and they will show you the steps to take, because the beauty about this Sauti Yetu podcast is that it should inspire somebody to feel challenged to step up.
Yes.
And so if you do feel that you want to, the socials are on the screen. Please make sure that you get in touch, and for sure they will help you step by step to join and become a paralegal and become a community advocate. Now, Josephine, when you think about the message or call for action that you want policymakers specifically and communities or even families to know on how to build a more inclusive, more dignified Kenya, because I feel like that's missing the dignity of it all. Eh? What would you tell the policymakers right now?
Thank you so much. For what I can tell our policymakers is that when we think about inclusion or maybe inclusive policies, it's not just like a favor to girls and women with disabilities. Remember, everyone is aging. There will reach a time that we will not be able maybe to work as we work today. So when we talk about accessibility in buildings, they will also favor them, because we are not talking, if we talk about accessibility, people tend to think that it's a favor done to persons with disabilities. Yet it's not, because everyone is aging.
Yes.
You will also need
the knees are starting to complain and the stairs are not working. Even for me, I'm just saying, policymakers.
So policymakers should not take disability inclusion as an afterthought agenda. This should be a day-to-day agenda. Very intentional.
Very intentional.
Yeah, it should be intentional, because it's not only caters for just women and just with disabilities alone. Everyone will need them. And one day, one time, they will need them. So when you talk about inclusion, please don't see as if we are, I hear people out there saying persons with disabilities are so arrogant, we are rude. We are not rude. So you want to treat us how you want. No.
But also, if they become rude, it's because you made them rude with your bad
Exactly,
manners.
yes.
So if you bring bad manners, even us will react.
Exactly. Yeah, so just see us
As
and treat
people.
us as people.
Yes.
Let disability come after. After the person part of it.
Yeah.
You just see me as anyone
human
else, as a
being.
human being.
Yes.
Leave alone my disability.
Yeah.
Most of that disability is caused by you. Because if you accommodate me well,
I would have a problem. In fact, we won't even notice or know. I love that. I love that message. And what about you, Fridah? What message would you share to the policymakers, especially sitting in the capacity that you're sitting in, knowing that it is a hard run for even just the financing and the funding to do what you do. Yet the initiative is so beautiful. What would you tell the policymakers just to make this a more inclusive justice system, sustain more momentum for the rights? Because I think sometimes we have upsurges and then suddenly there's a lull. So what would you tell them?
What I would tell them is that we have to plan and allocate resources towards implementation of policies and rules.
Yeah.
We now have the Persons with Disability Act of 2025, which is something that we are really celebrating. But the big focus now should shift towards its implementation. And for it to be implemented, we need the county governments, the national government, to ensure that they are planning and allocating resources towards its implementation.
Yeah.
Second, we must enforce accessibility and also provide reasonable accommodation so that women and girls with intellectual disabilities, they can effectively go through the justice system. So we must ensure that at every stage, services are accessible by women and girls with intellectual disability. Access to justice shouldn't be a luxury.
Yeah.
It's a right.
It's a right. And it is in the Constitution.
Yes.
It's a right. So accessibility should not be an afterthought. It should be that you consider these are humans. And while there is an intellectual disability, the more reason for us to give them even more of our attention and provide for them from the get-go. So every building has to think of these people first. Every different policy made has to consider that there's more than just the Kaleches of this world. Think of everybody, because if it's inclusive, then everybody is well served. And as Josephine so rightly put, then you won't have a problem with anybody. And I think it's so important for us to do that. I really love this conversation, and it's just the beginning of Sauti Yetu. I know we have a lot more that we're going to discuss, and I am sure I will have you right here again another day. So I want to thank you, Josephine, for sharing your story and being so openly candid about what it is that you are doing for people with intellectual disability, and that they should view you as a person. I am so excited to hear you're a mom of an 8-year-old, and that there is nothing in you that is not functioning. Everything is functioning. And so therefore, you're a person just like everybody else in the room. So thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your story. Fridah, thank you for standing up to share what COVAW is doing. I think the achievements have been so brilliant, just to see the steps and the strides that you're taking. And the journey is beginning here on Sauti Yetu by sharing it to the communities, because I think it takes the entire community. It can't be left to COVAW alone to stand up. It can't be left to Josephine alone. It requires all of us. So thank you so much for sharing and opening the first of our podcast, Sauti Yetu. And I don't know about you guys, but personally, I vow to be the Kenyan who stands in the gap and to fight for everybody's rights, including those with intellectual disability. And I stand against gender-based violence. Join me, because this is your voice too. Let your voice be heard right here on Sauti Yetu. This is a podcast that is kicking off that comes from COVAW, and that is the Coalition of Violence Against Women. And we are determined to speak out and make sure that your voice is heard. Everybody gets to understand how you can support. And do, by the way, make sure that you subscribe and follow this channel. You know, the Bible says that my people suffer because they lack knowledge. Don't be that person who lacks knowledge. This is your first point of knowledge. But the details on how you can reach COVAW, get onto their website and learn even more about what they're doing. Josephine's details are on the screen as well. Make sure that you get in touch. Thank you so much for joining us. Can't wait to see you yet again right here on Sauti Yetu, the podcast. Until next time, I'm Kalecha Mumo. Take care.